Greetings, my scattered brothers and sisters in the Lord. I have been the scattered one. I think it's been close to a month since scattered word went out. Just had too much grading to do at the end of the semester, and then the holidays, Christmas, New Year's, and now school's starting back up. But I think I'm back and at a place where I can build this back into my life. And so, really happy to rejoin you today and trust you know the Lord is with you wherever you're scattered. And looking forward to continuing on in our journey through the Gospel of John. Where we left off, we're at chapter 7, and Jesus is at the Feast of Tabernacles, and it's the last day of the feast. And on this day, Jesus stands up at the temple and says that if anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. And streams of living water will flow forth from within the person who drinks. And Jesus was referencing the Holy Spirit that he would give. Now, we need a little bit more background on the Feast of Tabernacles. This feast celebrates the faithfulness of God to Israel during their time in the wilderness and bringing them towards to the promised land. And so at this annual feast, they would camp out in booths and remember tents and remember how God was faithful and brought them through. It also would anticipate the coming of the Messiah and kind of a reestablishment of the promised land. And so it looked backward, but it also was filled with great hope. Part of this festival was the pouring of water in the temple. And you'll recall that in their time in the wilderness, there were times where they complained to God about not having any water. And Moses brought forth water from a rock. And so, as part of the festival, the priest would go down to the pool of Siloam each day and bring water up, and they would pour that out around the altar in the temple, and symbolizing that God is the one who provided for them. But it also was looking forward. In the prophets Ezekiel and also Zechariah, and they envisioned a river of life flowing forth from the temple. And so, as the priest remembered, they were also pointing forward to the day in which God would renew the temple and that there would be kind of new creation and new life flowing forth from the temple, and that all nations would come and benefit from this water and be satisfied and would come to worship the Lord. So it's at this moment, on the last day of the feast, the greatest day of the feast, and the water has been poured out, and the priests have done their work of helping the people to remember as well as to anticipate that God is going to bring forth a new day. Jesus stands up and says, if anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. Jesus is proclaiming that he is the fulfillment of what they've been hoping for. That is through him that God brings forth new creation, is through him that God brings about this new day, is through him that all peoples can come and receive this new life, this fellowship with God that is offered in and through Jesus. Now, here's the thing that I have been thinking about with this. If anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. See, Jesus is there in Jerusalem, and all kinds of people have been coming to him. They've come to him with questions, they've come to him to hear him, and there's great division. And many of the leaders want to have Jesus put to death, and they can't do it yet, but that's what they're already plotting. And yet there are some who have come to Jesus, like Nicodemus, who they want to drink, but they're not sure if they can drink. It's not exactly acceptable in the circles that Nicodemus was running in. And then no doubt there are others there who are indeed beginning to drink. And we know that Jesus was at the well in Samaria, and the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman, she began to drink. So Jesus is there to quench the thirst of all peoples. If anyone, everyone who is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. And they're all coming, but they are not all drinking. And to drink is to believe in Jesus. To drink is to surrender to Jesus. To drink is to open your life up to the lordship of Jesus and to follow him and to be invited into the fellowship that he has with the Father through the Spirit. And so lots of people are coming, but only a few are actually drinking. And so that's kind of the big question for us. We're thirsty. We come to Jesus, but how well are we drinking? How surrendered are we? How open are we to his lordship? How well are we following? And so my prayer for you today, wherever you're scattered, is that you and I, that we don't only come to Jesus, but that we actually drink. Have a great day. God be with you, and drink well.